Hey, when I go back and look at recorded lessons I've done with students, it's always good to see yours and see that there are 3 or 4 views on yours. And I think, oh, that means he's like taking this seriously.
Yeah, so some weeks, yeah. I keep going back and looking at. There's always something that is the key to whatever I'm doing that week, and
yeah,
finding that is really helpful. And I did that on this one because I was trying to figure out that well the timing stuff and also that voice stuff that and I don't know. I'm sure there's some technical reason for this, but in the top part of it, the first, the intro and the verse,
hmm
I was able to do that by, just designating a particular note and going up and finding the little voices and calling that voice two or voice one.
yeah.
Okay, that didn't work for whatever reason in the second part where I put in all those um, the bass notes.
Yeah.
Didn't for whatever reason I couldn't make or at least some or all of them. I couldn't make them the right voice. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. Um, okay, so looking at your the beginning of your second line in voice one, most all the let me look at that. Yeah. Okay. And this is the way I would do this is all the bass notes that you've got 3 measures that have only bass in them,
Yeah.
and those are all in voice two.
Okay. And so yeah, I'm not looking at this right now. I don't know
Okay.
how to do that if but could I be looking at this right now?
Yeah, or I can share my screen with you and show you what's going on here. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah. That.
Um, okay.
Okay. Got it.
So
Okay.
um, now, so what I just did here was notice only voice two is highlighted up here.
Yep.
And the way now you could click on voice one and that would show us voice one.
Okay.
And we don't have anything in 3 or 4, so if I go to 3 or 4, everything's gray.
Okay.
Okay? And so now looking up here at the first line, see just the bass notes are voice two and the other ones are grayed out because they're voice one.
Yep.
And if I go to, I'm not sure how to do this. Let's see what that does. Yeah, okay. All right, so this button at the end,
Hmm.
activate. Oh, right. See what just came up is multi-voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would usually do that with a command, which is Command M. Right.
Uh-huh.
So Command M. So if I'm and I would switch from voice to voice with Command keys too. So Command one. If I do this now on my keyboard, Command one, it shows me only voice one.
Okay.
And subsequently, obviously, Command 2 would show me voice 2.
Yep.
And then Command M is multi-voice, which means everything is is visible, nothing gray.
Got
Right.
it. Got it.
So now looking at your measure 5 here, notice we've got a stem up and a stem down on this note.
Yep.
And that's because you do have that in voice 1 as well. So see, if I go back to voice 1, now we only see the C with the stem up.
Okay. How
And
would
we
we
see,
fix that then?
well, what we'd want to do is put something else in voice one. Like what happens in voice one here? Is it the same picking? I don't. I'll have to go back and listen to this song in just a minute.
It's this is where he starts the finger picking part,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I believe there's just the bass on one, but I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. Yeah. Let me. How do I do this? Okay. So if I go do something else, you're still seeing that screen, right?
I'm still seeing it. Yep.
Okay.
He's a member of the.
The finger picking part starts at like 102.
Okay. Okay. Here it is.
Faith in me.
Okay. This is all the stuff we already had.
when the tears
So this is basically the
you
second
cry
verse, right? So it has, or is this still part of the first verse? Would you consider?
are all you can believe. Just give these loving arms a try, baby.
Okay, like that right there. Did you figure out that little pull off on the high G?
I heard it, but I didn't figure it out.
Yeah, so that's nothing tricky because he's holding a C chord down when he does that. Oh, he can't see me right now, but he's
I
holding.
can see you. I can see
Oh,
you.
okay, I'm up in a corner or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's holding down the C chord, right? And all he did was this. He just hit a high G on the first string and pulled it off. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is the kind of thing where we could get pretty analytical about this, but this could be a project for you later too. Is figure out the timing of that. Where exactly did that happen in the measure? Let me back it up again a little bit and see what I hear.
Loving arms a try, baby. And have a little faith in me.
So that right there when he sang that line, "Have a little faith in me," it was a little bit different because he started that C chord. This is not worth also like writing out in the music for now. We don't have to get that exact and precise with what he's doing, for our purposes with doing this, right? We're really just trying to ballpark it a little bit more and learn a lot more about writing. Anyway, you got the idea.
Yep.
So what I heard there was after he did this pull off, when he started the next line, he's just about to sing "Have a Little Faith in Me." He hit only the C in the bass and didn't grab like the chord or anything, But that's the kind of thing that if you want to get really, really, really tightly specific with every little thing he does, you want to at least make note of that. That doesn't mean you have to write it down that way because again, we're not worried about making a transcription here that we want to sell to people that like it. This is exactly the way what he did, So,
Right.
Okay, but now we're at 108. So he is about to start the finger picking thing. I think that's what you said it was, right?
About 102. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and what I want to. Okay, let me just play it here and see what we got.
Have a little faith in me. Have a little faith.
Okay, now what I'm doing is just listening to exactly the bass notes. I want to back it up a little bit, and you can hear the half note bass notes, which is the notes that are descending on the fifth string, right? So we hear the C in the bass, and then we hear another bass note higher.
Right.
It's logical. It's either going to be this, like what you had, C to E, and then B to D, and then maybe A to E if he goes to an A minor of some sort there, right?
Right.
And then maybe a G and something in there.
Right.
But we also always have to consider the possibility that it's a different string that he's hitting. He could be going all the way to the third string. Something like that.
Yeah.
Let me listen again now.
Little faith in me.
Oh, okay. So the way I was playing it was wrong because it's four notes before it changes chords. So we really hear this. So what you had was having it change twice as fast as it really is. So he really hits the C in the bass twice on beats 1 and 3,
Oh.
and then there's another bass note on 2 and 4. Listen again, you'll hear. Oh, you know what? I could. Okay. You'll hear that the bass is at about this speed. And the second bass note is that open G that I'm playing in there. You can hear that that's what I'm doing in the bass?
Yeah.
And it's even the same on the A in the bass. And then when he gets to G in the bass, so I want you to try that once. Play that. Just start with the C. Go with the C chord first. Yeah.
I don't know if that's it. But,
Okay, right. So that's what I want you to listen to. We're going to get to that in just a second. Is
okay.
but the second bass note for all three of those, the C chord, the B in the bass, and the A in the bass, the second bass note is always the open G, and it might be the same note on the G chord. Like that would sound real consistent to hear this.
Okay.
Okay, so listen to that. I'm going to back it up just a little bit and see if that's. See, first of all, notice that those second bass notes are the open G string. This is difficult because I'm trying to get you to focus on
Yeah.
something happening in the middle of the mess. You
Okay.
know,
Okay.
it's easy to hear this changing and to hear that there are two of those in each measure, right? And when he hits high notes, if he was doing that, you can hear those high notes, sparkling above everything else.
Yeah.
But focusing in on the second bass note is very difficult.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's see what we got. You know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to slow this down 75%. Oh, I already have it at 75%. Never
Yeah.
mind.
There's already, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Have a little faith in me.
Okay, now I stopped it before we got to the G.
Mm-hmm.
The G in the bass. But could you hear that second bass note?
Yeah.
Could you hear that open G string?
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Good. And then I don't think on the first C chord we hear anything on the high strings. Like I think I hear this in the first measure. I wasn't paying attention to that right there, but I think that's all we had in that measure. Nothing in the melody.
Okay.
But in the second measure, I think I heard some high notes. And now that we have determined that that second bass note is the open G, the notes we're expecting to hear are that and that, and that's now that's not to take out the possibility that we might hear this. We could hear a high note up there that isn't part of our C, or that is like a high G
Right.
too. But I'm going to back it up again.
Have a little faith in me.
So I stopped it after the B measure, and you could hear there were a couple high notes in there.
Yeah.
Did they happen on beats or in between? I'll play it again. But that's like the next thing. It's like, okay, I did hear a couple notes up there.
Yeah.
Right? Did I hear either of them, or how many were there? These are the kinds of things that how many were there? Did I ever hear the same one twice? Were they pinched or were they in between beats?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to start it at the same place, and I'll stop it right at the end of that measure, just before he hits the A in the bass. So we're only listening to that one measure, okay?
Yeah.
Have a little faith in me.
What do you think?
I think they were after the bass note.
Okay, right. So
Yeah.
there were no pinches in there.
Yeah.
And and how many notes did you hear?
I think it was. I think 4.
The melody notes, the high notes above the bass.
I thought I heard 4, but
Okay.
Have a little faith in me.
That was the measure of C, and we just heard the 4 beats in there with nothing. So
right.
what we just heard in that measure was this. And the next thing we're about to hear is that. Right?
Yep.
And now try to ignore those bass notes and just listen to the melody notes, and you're right. None of them are we don't hear anything like this. That would be putting them in on pinches.
Right.
We hear something a little more like this. We hear them on the ands.
Yeah.
Okay, but now I'm going to see if I can just play that measure. The first thing we hear should be the B in the bass, and then I'm going to stop it before we hear the A in the bass.
It sounded. I still think there's one on the and of every beat.
Okay.
That that's what I think there is.
I'm going to see if I can stop it before the third bass note. I'm going to play. I'm going to try to. We're going to try to listen to just two bass notes, but I think it's back to the C.
Have a little faith in me.
So we just heard two bass notes with nothing on the ands yet.
Nothing. Yeah.
And the next thing we're about to hear is going to be the third bass note, which is the B again, I think. You hear that?
So it was. We're so there's a note on the and of 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. So play that
Okay, so that's from the B, right? Yeah,
from the B and the bass. Yeah.
from the B. Yeah, so he's playing.
Almost.
No,
What is the note?
that doesn't sound right. It's not the same one the second time.
Okay. So
Um,
the note you played was on which and?
the first melody note that I played was on the and of 3.
Okay. So when must the other one be, and what must it be?
It has to be on the and of 4,
Okay.
and
So you still need to hit 4 now.
right. Um, oh, okay. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And... That doesn't sound right though.
Okay, because what did you play on the and of 4? What note?
I played this B
No, on the and of 4. Wait.
on the end of 4.
Right, which is the same note you played on the and of 3.
Yeah,
And that's what we decided. It's not the same note. He doesn't play the same note
no,
twice.
you're right. It's not, that's what I'm saying. It's not the same note. And okay, so no, 2, 3.
Yeah, except now that bass note on 4, make sure to play the bass notes accurately. Right.
Does it go up there? No. Okay, now I can't remember.
Here it is again. Let's listen again. I'll play the whole measure and stop it before the A in the bass.
Okay.
Have a little faith in me.
What was the last thing you heard?
I think it was back to there, maybe.
So that would mean it's ending with a bass note.
Well,
But see, we thought we heard that there's something on the and of 3 and the and of 4. And there is.
yeah.
Here's what it is. I'll play it slowly.
Okay.
I'm going to start with the C.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it is the E then.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's okay, so it's no, it's
That was too late.
yeah, way too late.
It was one, yeah. You missed the and of 3.
Yeah. Um, so it's 2.
Oh, that was still too late. When you hit the bass note on 3, You need a finger right after it. Oh, close. Okay, so what melody note are you going to play on the end of 3?
I'm going to play this B.
It's not B. What is it?
Oh, it's C. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
C.
Okay. And then what are you going to play on 4?
I'm going to play this E.
No. Now on beat 4.
Oh, on beat 4. No, I'm playing the bass note of.
Right. Okay. That you haven't been getting to that accurately. You've been swinging at a bass and you've been hitting the 4th string, and it's coming out dead. You're not getting this. Here's the measure. So your thumb wasn't going all the way to the 3rd string for beat 4, so you're getting kind of a dead note on beat 4. And sometimes when you tried to play this finger on the and of 3, you didn't get that note, you got the G. You got the bass note that you're just about to go hit.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
So what we have to do is kind of adapt to his finger picking technique, which is he's only using 2 fingers.
Yeah.
And right now they're on the top 2 strings. His middle finger's on the 1st string and his index finger's on the 2nd string.
Right.
And my guess is when he goes to the G and the bass, he's going to keep the spacing of the bass notes the same. He's going to skip a string and go. He's been going from 5 to 3 in the bass. When he gets to the 6th string in the bass, he's going to probably go from 6 to 4, not 6 to 3, and probably going to move these fingers up a string so that he's in the same kind of home position. Okay? Now, again, I'm anticipating this without really knowing, without having paid attention to it yet, but I do know that when he gets to the G and the bass note is not this G anymore. When he gets to G in the bass, the 2nd bass note is an E. I was going to have you listen to that, but I want to kind of like get a little further in it, but
okay.
Because we spent a lot of time on just this one measure, but the idea here is this is how you kind of have to extrapolate this into what you're going to try to do with every other measure. And pay, like, lock into the bass notes, write them down, and then forget about them. Then figure out the timing of the melody notes, listening for, are any of them pinched? That's like, and at that point you're not even worried about what they were.
Right.
It's like, and you can do these in different orders. You might worry about what they were first, but worrying about where they are first will help you pin down what they are better.
Right.
Okay, I think that's.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. So, but our current measure B here. So, okay. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. That's it. Try that now from the measure before. Play the C measure with just 4 bass notes. Now see, you just played that measure 5 or 6 times and it was starting to get kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
And now see if you can connect it to the previous measure, and don't be disappointed if it doesn't work.
Okay. Okay.
Really close though. That was great.
Okay. I think I can do this.
Yeah. Almost. Wait, what was wrong?
I hit that.
No, you didn't hit that when you needed it. It's
Well, I didn't hit that.
the 4th bass note was not right.
The 4th bass note. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
That's still not right. What's that bass note supposed to be on 4?
On 4, it's supposed to be.
Right. Okay. That's the note we need there. Perfect. That was it.
except I hit the E with that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Which, you know what? That would sort of be okay. I'm more prescribed to the idea of keeping these three fingers consistent with the top three strings.
Yeah.
And, but when you're using the third string as a bass note, nah, I'm gonna backtrack on that. I'm gonna change my tune. Um, Normally, when you're using the third string as a bass note, which happens on a D chord all the time,
Yep.
then you do go to two fingers on the top two strings, and that could even happen if you're using it
Yeah.
as if you're using it as a bass note for a chord other than D.
Right.
Many times I'll be playing an E minor chord where I might be normally using the fourth string in the bass as the second bass note, but I might want to play some melody notes up the first string. In my arrangement of When I'm 64, there's a time where that's what's going on. It's an E minor chord, and the melody goes, and then I need to get way up here to this high D.
Yeah.
So what I do for that measure is make the bass this, so that I don't have to be playing any notes down here. Something like that. Okay. So, and without even thinking about it, as I was trying to demonstrate this, as soon as my thumb started going here, I went to two fingers. Yeah. Even though if I'd been on E minor before, I would have been in standard three finger position, and I'd be going to the fourth string in the bass.
Yeah.
So as soon as my thumb came down here, these fingers shifted. So that's the way it should go.
So I'll go. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Back to my. Let me see if I can intuit this.
Perfect. Oh, and now what's the next bass note? What happens in the next measure? We haven't even listened to that yet. You just finished that measure. You finished that measure with that high E on the end of 4.
I should have done.
Right. And what I would do here is put down a whole A minor 7 chord. Put your second finger down. Even though we're not going to play that note. It's just we want your brain seeing and thinking you're on A minor 7.
Okay.
Okay, but we're not hitting, just like on that C chord a minute ago. You should have had that finger down even though we're not playing it. Right. So your brain's on C, you've got the whole chord down, and you're doing this. Then it goes to A minor 7, and you're doing this.
Okay.
Then in the next measure, he goes to G in the bass and keeps those other notes on, right, but he does then start this in the bass. So we'll listen to that in just a second.
Okay.
Right, and then what we haven't done yet is listen to the A minor 7 measure to see if there's any melody notes in there.
Right.
Okay, so that's where we are.
Okay.
With that, let me. Where do I have that? All right, we're on the A minor 7 measure. Okay, that was it. How many melody notes did you hear?
2.
Okay. And did you hear this one? Or this one? Or both of them? What do you think? We'll have to hear it again for that. But I'm going to back it up a little bit. I heard. What do you think?
I think I didn't hear any high notes.
Okay.
I didn't hear those.
Way to go. That's exactly the type of thing you do. It's like it's a little bit like Wordle. You eliminate some possibilities.
Yeah.
I did not hear this. No. That means I must have heard this.
Yeah.
Because I know that he's coming here in the bass. We've already kind of like established that.
Right.
Now, did I hear it twice? Is it possible that he played the same note twice? Well, it's absolutely possible. The question is more, do we hear that note twice? There was that measure. I probably didn't give you enough of a lead in to get oriented. Here, I'm going to back it up a little further. Okay, he's just about to start that A minor measure. Ready?
Okay.
Pause that. Okay, did you hear that? Did you hear the same note played twice quickly in a row like that? Let me do what you just did. Or did you hear this?
That's what I heard.
Right. See, it's not the same note. It's one of the melody notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so he's not playing the same string. He's not using this finger on the same note he's playing a bass note on.
Right.
What you just did,
Right.
right?
Right.
That would jump out. Well, it's being a bit presumptuous, but if it's like that would come out as like something unusual. Wow, I heard the same note twice in a row. That's weird. How'd that happen? You know, that would be unusual finger picking
Right.
um, or accidental.
Yeah,
Right.
because if it was the same note, it would be or it would be the same note three times in a row.
It would if you hit it, but yeah, if there was something on the and of four, we've kind of hinted around the fact that we hear a melody note on the and of three. We hear something between after bass note three,
Right.
and really haven't determined yet whether there's something on the and of four or not.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
let me get that. Oh, why did I keep doing that? Let's get out of that. Okay. That was that measure. In fact, a little more lead in. Same guy calling back. I should get the message that I can't pick up the phone. Okay, so what I heard there was nothing on the and of four. That four is just the last bass note, so there's only one melody note in there. Backing up to the C measure, so you can hear it all kind of in context. And then we're into the measure with the G and the bass. So, again, this is getting really, fine tuning down into like every eighth note of the measure, and trying to figure out what's going on. And this, chances are this could be a little different every time he plays it. Like in the next verse, the melody notes they're kind of random, and so we don't have that's when for you to play this, there's no reason to not do this. Have a little faith in me. To just make up something, but keep the bass line the same, and the same principle of putting in melody notes wherever the heck you want.
Right.
But so that's what I mean. We're kind of digging a little too deep into this rabbit hole, but there's kind of the benefit of it is, this is stuff you want to be able to figure out.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be at the deep level that I'm driving you into right here.
Right.
But let's listen to the next measure now. Now we know that there's a G in the bass, and I've already told you that the bass note is going to here as the second bass note.
Yep.
And the reason what else made me hear that is that when we hear this, we're kind of hearing a C chord very clearly. When we hear this, it's a little more ambiguous what chord's happening, because we've got these two bass notes that are both bass notes of a G chord, really. But then we've still got high notes of a C chord here. So, when you played this measure repeatedly and you heard it like 3 or 4 times in a row, it's like, it sounds like crap now. It's like it doesn't make any sense without it, out of context.
Yep.
Right? But now we get to the third measure and we hear the same second bass note, and this starts sounding more like an A minor 7 chord, because that's what it is with those notes. And so when I heard this G in the bass, I heard this other bass note that kind of restores the sound of C, of a C, this E in the bass, as opposed to if I just heard this. The two G's in the bass have a little bit of that vagueness that the B in the bass had. Okay, but let's listen to the G in the bass measure now.
Have a little.
You know what? You can't even hear the melody notes there because he sings so over the top of it. But I would say, my educated guess on what he's doing is when he goes to the G in the bass is he just plays a couple melody notes in there too.
Yeah.
We don't care. So let's go on, and now he's got to get to F in the bass. He's going to an F chord of some sort, right?
Faith in me.
Okay, so what I heard in those measures to kind of give you some hints heading on is normal measures. He goes to the F chord like this.
Yep.
Plays it with his thumb wrapped around, so we hear normal bass notes for an F chord, and just normal melody notes, the same two as I kind of already went into. Pretty sure that when he's playing, that he's only using two fingers, and that means these two fingers on this F chord are on the second and third strings.
Right.
And then he goes to a G chord. Although I think on that G he might have kept that C on. Let me hear that again.
Have a little faith in me.
No, he didn't. Okay. So this was just a normal F chord. And we barely hear high notes and a normal G chord. And he comes back to C. Let's listen to the C. Oh, now there's a fancy little flourish. What he did on that C was, what I heard was this, a pinch. He just pinched these two C's and then kind of a hammer on, or I think he plucked it out, a D and an E, and then kind of strummed a small F in there. So that was kind of how he brought the whole thing to conclusion. I don't think he strummed all the strings. I don't think I heard an F major 7. Oh, it is. It's definitely an F major 7. You can hear that open E in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
G. Okay, so it's.
And right now, strumming a little F major 7. Yep. Yeah.
Strum that?
Yeah.
So it's 1, 2. It's the same timing as the other.
I think
1.
he's slowing down a little bit, so there's a little bit of a retard in here. But I think the timing he's shooting for is 1, 2, and 3, 4. I think. Let me listen again. Yep. Okay, if I'm tapping while I hear that, I hear this. 1, 2. I'll go back through all the chords. I hear the F to the G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me slow down. 1, 2, 3, G. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, so my guess is that he now holds that for 4 beats with nothing happening, and then kicks into the next part. Although we might have a little lead into it. It could be 1, 2, and 3, which makes that first bass note a dotted half, a dotted quarter.
Okay.
Right? So it'd be 1, 2, and 3, and then this is on beat 4. And a logical thing to do here would be to just let that ring for the next 4 beats. We need one more measure. We can't start on beat 1 of the next measure, okay? Because that F felt like it was anticipated. It came early.
Yep.
Right? And so there's one more measure that he has to account for there. And there could be nothing in it other than a tied whole note from the F major 7.
Okay.
Okay, that's my first guess, having not listened to what he's doing. But then he could hold it for a couple of beats, and there could be a little pickup thing that happens in the end of that measure, leading us back to the next C, which is what should happen next.
Okay.
Let's listen. I'm going to back it up again a little bit. Okay, so he repeated that little C to F fill kind of.
Uh-huh.
But you could hear he did let that F ring, and there was a little bit of a little light strum towards there, just because when he does that, he's kind of keeping his hand moving. So there's like little background noise, but it's because he's keeping time with his hand,
Okay.
and it lightly brushes the strings, and so.
When you're seek.
Okay, and now he's back into grabbing the chords with that more, like back at the beginning, kind of the dotted quarter note.
Okay. Okay. So the total measures in the finger picking part then, um, the C bass that's repeated twice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
So that's how much time elapses before he hits the B in the bass.
It's just one measure.
Okay, so that's kind of our what we call harmonic rhythm. He's on that chord for a measure.
Right. Then he's on
Then
the
we
B
have the B in the bass
for a measure.
for the same. Then the A in the bass.
Measure.
Then the G in the
In
bass.
the bass.
Okay, so that sequence right there, really, really common. You should be able to kind of file it away. That's a 4-measure phrase with the bass descending. And now we need another 4-measure phrase to balance it.
Okay. So we go to the F. We go to the F measure, the G measure, and then the C measure with a little to the F major seventh. But okay, this is where I'm confused. So we go. The C measure was the third of that four, right?
Yes. So we got to the F major 7 on beat 4 of measure 3.
Of measure three.
Okay, which is really measure 7.
Yes, which is measure seven, right?
Okay.
That,
And
okay. And then but then he repeats that C fill. Is that measure 8?
no, measure 8 is when the F rings through all of measure 8.
Okay, the F rings through all of measure 8. And so then the C fill is measure 9.
And it's 2 measures long again, just like it was. So he's doubled up on the last 2 measures as a little breather, an interlude. This whole thing is 10 measures long.
Okay, so it's 10 measures long. And then at that point, we've led back into the verse.
We're now at the next verse.
We're now at the next verse.
Right, where he's
Okay.
grabbing the C and the A minor 7
Yes.
with that dotted quarter rhythm.
Okay. And okay, and this is what I'll work. Okay, so that I think I can get that. When we get to the verse, are we in Guitar Pro land? Are we going to try to send ourselves back?
Yeah, so this would be a reasonable place to, after your 10th measure,
Yeah.
you're going to put a repeat sign that's going to send us back to measure 1.
Okay.
Oh, no, we had it's actually measure 5 is the beginning. Oh, no, we're going back to the beginning of a verse, which is what we were calling measure 5 is when the bass starts.
No, we were calling that measure 2, weren't we?
Maybe. We have kind of an introduction. In either case, wherever the singing starts, let me look back at your tab again now. Oh, right. We were saying, see, we've got 2 measures and then 2 other measures repeated 9 times.
Right, and the first repeat of those 9 is actually the end of the intro.
Right. Okay, so basically we have 8 sets of that 2-measure phrase the C to A minor 7 to the F to the G.
Right.
That's what I would call the verse, or the beginning of the verse. Those 8 measures all have vocals over them. And in the first verse, those 8 were followed by then the alternating picking part.
Yep.
So since he started singing right here, I think, where we just left off, he's omitted the first 4 measures, the introduction.
Right.
And just kicked in with the first of the 8 reps of that chord progression, I think.
Okay.
Does that seem right? Or
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. But as you listen to it more, you could figure that out. You could see. But I also am going to guess that. So when he started the finger picking part, is that what we consider the chorus to this song?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a chance then that the 8 measures that he sang before that could have been 2 verses before he got into the chorus.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that when he goes back to do it, it could be half as long. It could only be 4 sets of that C, A minor, F, G thing.
Yeah.
Before he goes back into the finger picking part with the next verse, the next chorus.
Yeah.
You with me there at least?
I know. I get that. Yeah.
So it's just kind of, it's like we'd have to map out the rest of it, which we can do right now. Let me. Okay, so he's at what I would call the beginning of verse 2.
When your secret heart
That was one set of our 2 measures.
cannot speak so easily,
That was the second set of our 2 measures. That's total of 4 measures, right?
come here, darling, from a whisper start,
That was the third set. I'm guessing this is the last one.
to have a little faith in me. When your back's
okay, so-
against the
So
wall,
this is looking like it's going to be the same as the first verse, like a full 8 pairs.
Okay. All 8 pairs.
Now, what threw me off a little bit is that the first half of that, at the end of the 4th one, he sings the refrain, "Have a little faith in me,"
Right.
but he still hasn't kicked into what we're calling the chorus yet,
Right.
right? So he's in the middle of the second verse that looks to be the same.
just
verse.
turn around and you will see. I will catch you when you fall. If you have a little faith in me.
So this is identical to the first verse. Now I expect the bass
Have a
part.
little faith in me.
Perfect. Yeah, so now he's going into the next chorus that we expect to be the same. Let's go ahead and listen.
Have a little faith
That's the F,
in me.
G, and the C. Same little ending. He's got
Have a little faith in
now.
me.
Okay, so see what happened there. He didn't double up that little fill. He just went back into another chorus.
Right.
That C to F major 7, that chorus was exactly 8 measures long.
Right.
Didn't have the 2 measure duplicate.
Right.
And now he's doing another whole chorus that I expect to be the same, and then it'll probably have the doubled ending, and that could be the end of the song.
No, it's the doubled ending, and then he actually switches keys.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I see there's still like a minute and a half left.
Have a little faith in
That's the F to the G, and I expect the C to F major 7. There's the doubled ending. Okay, you're right. So he ran through a couple other chords right there.
Yeah.
He did the C to F major 7.
Yeah.
And do you know what he did after that? Have you looked at this or tried to figure out what happens there?
Well, I sort of listened my way through it. I think he goes to G.
He does, but there's a chord before the G. So he does the C to F major 7
Right.
twice. Then he does C to something else that then lands on G. So there's something else that happens in the spot where F major 7 would have happened.
I think it's D.
It is. So that's what he does. He does a C to D with the same rhythm as the C to F major 7.
Yeah.
And that C to D changes the key because that D chord puts us in the key of G.
Right.
So that's why when that D chord sets up the G.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's on G, and it seems likely that he could do a whole verse or a chorus in G. Let's see.
I've been loving you for such a long time, girl, expecting nothing in return.
Basically the same chord
Just for
progression.
you to have
Oh,
a
no, it's a
little
little different.
faith in me.
So this is like a whole different section, more or less. It's kind of like a bridge because it does have a slightly different progression, regardless of the fact that it's in a different key. But it was in G and had this descending bass kind of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, figure out the rest of this week.
Okay, I'll figure out. I'll go. I'll figure that part out.
But let's
Okay.
make kind of the plan to try to get everything written out up to that F major 7.
Yeah.
And then the other parts just sort of try to scope out the chord progression and see if you can figure out what he's doing. But let's make the writing part just those 8 measures, basically the chorus.
Okay.
And you don't have to worry about the 10 measures because measures 9 and 10 are the same as 7 and 8.
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay. Wow. Fun
Okay,
project. That's really
All
cool.
right. Thanks, Neil.
All right, I'll
All right.
send you a link to this in a bit, and I'll see you next week.